afternoon everyone and welcome po sa isa na naman pong linggo na filled with learning para po sa ating mga HR professionals, and this time we're going to talk about how we can thrive under the new normal. Ayan po. Naku po, pagpasensyahan nyo na po, kulang po ang ating Double Cuts ngayon linggo. Meron lang mga personal emergencies, but we'll try to make this as informative and as fun for everyone who would be here at nakatambay po sa ating comment section as much as possible. Ayan po. Sa mga kararating lang po at pati na rin po yung mga dati po naming tagapagsubaybay. Ayan, palagay na lang po sa ating comment section where you are watching from. Tag your friends, tag your colleagues para naman po mabati namin po sila. And if ever you do have any job openings, please let us know para may announce po natin yan dito po sa ating session for today. Ayan po. Okay. Bago po ang lahat, syempre pa po, ipakilala muna natin ang ating mga program host. Unfortunately, they cannot be here today, but of course, we'd like to introduce to everyone our program host, the founder of Philippines HR Group, Coach Darwin Rivers. He is a multi-awarded HR executive with more than 20 years of progressive leadership and management experience working with top Fortune 500 multinational companies. He is a certified life coach, a public speaker, and motivational speaker and HR consultant. Kilala po natin siya bilang founder and president of the Philippines HR Group. Punong abala po dito po sa ating HR Cafe at isa po sa mga may pinakamalaking Facebook group ng HR professionals sa Pilipinas. Ayan po. We also have Mentor John Bernard Ordonez Caasi, or Mentor Burns. He is an HR L&D practitioner and educator. He's an online content creator and social media influencer. He's a radio broadcaster and creator of Unboxing Catholicism podcast and FB Live. He is also a motivational speaker and financial wellness consultant. At syempre po, hindi mabubuo ang ating linggo pag wala po ang ating mga mentors. Let's start with Mentor Tina. Mentor Tina is an operations and HR leader with broad local and overseas experiences. He's the general manager for retail company, an online content creator, and blogger of tinainmanila.com. Napaka-active po ni Mentor Tina sa ating Philippines HR Group. So you would mostly see her there answering questions po ng ating mga members ng Philippines HR Group. Of course, I'm Mentor Rona Florentino. I am an HR professional. I've been in the HR business and industry for more than 20 years now. I've worked with different local and international companies. I am currently the president and CEO of Uprush Social Geekers. I'm also a public speaker and HR consultant. Ayan. Mentor Tina, kamusta po ang iyong araw today?
Maganda po. I'm really excited of the topic for today because I have actually been in close touch with the speaker since last year. And sobrang excited talaga ako sa mga naririnig kong mga kwento galing sa kanila kung ano ang ginagawa nila para sa kumpanya nila. So for me, one of the best things about the pandemic, if there is any, is actually meeting employers like them who actually gave people hope. Talagang inalagaan nila yung employees nila. And ito, bumabalik talaga sa kanila yung mga benefits ng pag-aalaga at pagmamahal nila from over the last year na binibigay nila. And I'm so excited to share it with everybody kasi I think it's good to share din na hindi lahat ng employers buwakaw or masasama or pinapabayaan ng tao. So really excited for them to share their experience with us.
And share ko lang ha, their story is actually one of the stories also mentioned by one of the previous speakers that we had naman in Uprush, and everyone is in awe of what they've done for their employees ever since the pandemic started. So nakaka-excite talaga ang ating topic for today. But before that, let us welcome yung ating po mga nakatambay po sa ating comment section. Bob Cruz, magandang hapon po mga ka-HR from Mandaluyong. We also have someone watching from Santa Rosa, Laguna. Aida Laput is also saying good afternoon, as well as si Ms. Sherry Cruz de Chavez, good afternoon from Marikina City. Luisa is watching all the way from Manila, and we have Tiara Duenas saying also good afternoon. Ayan. So good afternoon po sa mga nakatambay po sa ating comment section, sa mga nanonood sa atin from our Facebook page, our group, Philippines HR Group, and our YouTube channel. Kung hindi pa po kayo nakasubscribe sa YouTube channel, please do so para po pwede nyo ring balikan yung mga previous episodes that we had here in HR Cafe. Good afternoon as well to Mirna Cabanto from watching watching from Balagtas, who is one of our usual tambay here. We also
Mm.
have Agnes Ko, who's watching from Cebu, and Nathaniel John Bautista, who is watching from Caloocan City. Ayan po, naku, nakaka-enjoy naman na ang daming nanonood. If it's your first time watching or joining us here at the HR Cafe, HR Cafe is here to provide you with timely news and updates, particularly when it comes to the HR profession. We are here to impart knowledge and experience that are value-adding and beneficial, discuss current problems, issues, and challenges, and provide answers and resolutions with the help of our guest resource, discuss new technology, tools, and processes, as well as industry best practices. We are also a virtual job board, and we can do job related announcements. So if ever you do have any job postings that you would like to announce, please get in touch with us and we'll have it posted here at the HR Cafe. We are also here to bridge understanding between employers and employees, as well as provide inspiration and motivation not only to our HR professionals but to employees as well. Ayan po. Yan ang reason kung bakit tayo may HR Cafe. At syempre pa, ang pinaka-aabangan na part ng ating HR Cafe is the wow quote for the week. And this week's wow quote is from John Wooden. Sabi niya, do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. So mga katambay dito sa ating HR Cafe, how does this line resonate with you? What about you, Mentor Tina? Ano masasabi mo sa ating wow quote for the week?
I think for a lot of people, focus more on what we do not have instead of what we do have, which is why a lot of people are unhappy. They're unhappy with their jobs. They're unhappy with the status of their relationships. They're unhappy with how their life in general is going. And especially last year, because of the COVID-19 global pandemic, there are a lot of things to complain about. May lockdown, walang trabaho. Nandun ka sa bahay, bored ka. Bumalik na natanggal na yung lockdown, ang hirap sumakay. Baka magka-COVID ka. Pag nagka-COVID ka, nagrereklamo ka din. There's a lot of things really to complain about, and so many people are fall into the trap of negativity. But sa totoo lang, for me, I see the pandemic as a blessing. Okay? Why? Because I don't want to focus on what is happening. Kasi in every bad thing, there is always a silver lining there. Throughout the last year, I was able to meet so many amazing people, both employees and employers, who really nakikita mo talaga yung resilience nila, yung strength of will, yung generosity of employers, yung mga tao talaga na alam mo na walang-wala na talaga sila but they never lost hope. I've met a lot of friends as well na dahil sa pandemic na to, companies of different industries group together to help others. Lumabas yung community pantry, lumabas yung appreciation natin for our medical frontliners. Sure, a lot of people got sick. A lot of people, unfortunately passed away. But there is still a lot of things to be thankful for. We are thankful that the people that we have, the ones that are left, they're still alive, still healthy. I'm very thankful ngayon, yung cases natin hanggang umaabot ng 5,000. Di ba umabot siya ng mga 20,000? So I think in life, we should really focus on what we have, the blessings that we see. And when we look at it this way, it really changes our perspective. It changes how we do things. And life becomes a little bit more beautiful. Right? Kasi yun nga napapansin ko, bakit lagi-lagi yung mga nagpapakamatay, yung mga mayayaman, yung mga may Lamborghini, yung malalaki yung inheritance nila, lahat meron na sa kanila, pero hindi pa rin sila masaya. And I see a lot of people na walang-wala and yet they are still happy because wealth is not just about the money you have in your bank account, but wealth, it also comes in relationships, in finding out that good family relationships, good working relationships, good friends is very important. And I think that's what we need to focus on. And in a way, I do thank the pandemic for letting us see that. Right? How about you, Ma'am Rona?
Ako, I would like to look at it from a different point of view. Outside of the pandemic, kasi the pandemic is something that really tested our limits. But outside of
Yes.
the pandemic, this still holds true. Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. if if you're familiar with strengths builder, this is actually one of the principles behind it. More often than not, we focus too much on our weaknesses, on the things that we cannot do. We try to improve it, we try to work on it, we try to do what we cannot do, instead of building on what we already have, what we can already do. And that's the principle behind Strengths Builder. Instead of focusing too much on what you cannot do, why not work on your strengths and use that? Kasi baka naman sa sobrang pag-focus natin on the weaknesses, on what we cannot do, we are no longer moving forward kasi yung ating strengths, yung kaya natin gawin, napabayaan na natin. And that's equally bad. That's also not a good thing to do, because you have all of these gifts, you've been given something that you're good at, but you're not using it dahil lang sa hindi ko kasi gusto ko kasi maging ganito, it's my weakness, I'd like to improve it. Guys, it's okay to do that, but do not put all of your time and effort on working on something that you're not good, let's say in public speaking. Why not focus on, kung magaling ka pala magsulat, edi focus on writing. Doon ka pala magaling. Doon ka pala mas comfortable. Doon ka pala mas okay. Focus on that. Hindi ka magaling in math, for example, but you're good with Excel. Focus on that. Focus on Excel. Focus on how you can use Excel in order to compensate for you not being good with mental math. I am not good with mental math, ko Diyos po santo. You're not, let's say you're not a creative person, but you have good ideas. Focus on those ideas and look for someone who can help you translate those ideas into actual items or actions or whatever. Diba? Focus on what you have instead of focusing on what you don't have. At the same time, focusing on what you don't have kasi gives you the feeling of desperation, depression, and yung pakiramdam mo ngayon is you cannot accomplish anything. Kasi hindi ko kayang gawin to eh. Gusto ko ngayon, hindi ko kayang gawin ito. Why not focus on ano ba yung kaya ko? And then let's see. Okay, so instead of now being depressed, you're seeing yourself growing, moving, actually accomplishing something. So yun ang ano sa akin itong wow quote for the week natin. Okay? It's okay guys to work on your weaknesses, but don't forget about your strengths. Yung strengths na nandiyan na yan eh. You already have that. So what are you going to do about it? Okay? Kayo pong mga tambay namin sa ating comment section, ano po ang masasabi niyo sa ating wow quote for the week? Ibabanggitin ko pa sana pati yung, yung parable of the talents. Di ba meron yun sa Bible na there were 3 men who were given talents of gold. Somebody invested it, somebody used it for something else, and somebody inano lang niya, pinary niya sa ground, wala siyang ginawa. Tapos ang sabi niya nung bumalik yung kanilang master na, I did not use it. I buried it so that I can give it back to you. Pero siya yung napagalitan. Bakit? You were given something, you did not do anything about it. The two, they did something about it. They grew it into more than what was originally given to them. And we always have to keep that in mind. You were given something. What are you going to do about it? Ayan. So, bigla akong naging mabait ngayong araw na ito. Pero bago po ang lahat, batiin lang po natin ang good afternoon, yung mga bago po nating napunta sa ating comment section. So we have someone watching from Antipolo. We also have Ariel Giray watching from Santa Maria, Bulacan. And meron tayong isang Facebook users watching from Philippines HR Group. Magandang Jensen, excited for another fun learning experience this afternoon. Hi to my Sarangani Energy Corporation, especially the passionate HR team. Ayan, good job sa inyo. Passionate HR team talaga. Charlotte is also tagging her friends. We also have Micaela Saligao. Good afternoon. Micaela is from URS, University of Rizal System from Tanay. BSBA HRM 4th year. Ayan, good afternoon daw sa kanyang mga classmates who's also watching us from our page. We also have someone from Malolos, Bulacan watching us. We have Charlotte Jane Sofranes, Erica Bawi, and Marilyn Sereno SPL. All of these people are from URS. Maraming salamat po for staying with us. We also have Cipriano Caro Jr. Blessed Sunday also. Ayan. Okay. Oh, yes, opo. Sabi po ni Miss Agnes, kulang po kayo. Yeah, unfortunately, kulang kami. May mga personal matters to attend to, but we're still here. we would still provide you with the timely information that you need. At dahil timely information ng aming commitment po sa inyo, syempre pa, ang ating HR question for the week na talaga naman pong mainit na topic sa Philippines HR group right now. Can companies terminate unvaccinated employees? Ano po ang masasabi mo dito, Mentor Tina? Can companies actually do that? Terminate unvaccinated employees?
When we talk about termination, we have to be very careful. There is no good termination without due process. All right? You need to go through. You cannot just tell somebody you're unvaccinated, I'm going to terminate you. No. Every termination must follow due process. Reminder po yan. Kung if you do not follow due process, even if you have the reason to terminate, it's still an illegal termination. And pag nadole po kayo, siguradong mananalo yung employee. Having said that, my point is, our Dole Secretary Bello needs to be very careful with his sound bites because there has been many cases where he opens his mouth, somebody writes about it, and then later babawiin niya to say that his comments are taken out of context. This HR question of the week came because he said yesterday na pwede daw ang mga taong unvaccinated to be terminated in some areas. Okay, that's from him. However, sabi lang niya yan. It is not a labor advisory. It's not written on any sort of rules and regulations, department orders. Hence, there is no basis aside from sinabi po ni Bello. We have to be very careful. The last written documentation regarding vaccination is on DOLE Labor Advisory number 3, series of 2021. You cannot discriminate any unvaccinated person from work. Okay? Bawal po yung no vaccination, no work. Having said that, IATF did announce on some levels, depends on NCR, on some levels, that for example, if you are in the dining or personal care industry, if you are unvaccinated, wag mo na kayong pumasok. Okay? Iba yung huwag mo na kayong pumasok dahil sinabi ng IATF na bawal versus sa tatanggalin kayo ng kumpanya kasi sabi ni Bello. Okay? The company can put an employee on floating status because hindi pa po pwede. For example, if you're in retail, or you work in if you work in the restaurant or you work in personal care, dahil sa area na yon bawal pa po pumasok ang taong hindi pa vaccinated, sabi mo sa kanya, o wag ka muna pumasok, pwede po yun. Pero please do not terminate that person for the love of God unless you want to have a labor case that you will definitely lose. All right? So, can employees terminate unvaccinated employees? No, please do not yet until we have further information, until we have a labor advisory that supersedes the last one. However, can you put an unvaccinated employee on floating status? Huwag mo munang papasukin hanggang nag-aantay tayo ng changes of alert levels? Yes, you can. Okay? Unvaccinated man or not. Rona, your
Okay?
thoughts?
Yes, agree. Super agree. So, intayin po natin na magkaroon ng labor advisory.
Yes.
Employers, wag naman po bigla kayo magte-terminate ng unvaccinated employee simply because sinabi ni Bello. Ingat po tayo dyan. Unless you have the labor advisory or a department order or a joint memorandum from
Mm.
IATF, we cannot terminate employees just because they are unvaccinated. Apart from that, you also have to keep in mind that not everyone can be vaccinated. And I am not
Mm.
speaking about the different levels that we have, the A1 to A5, na hindi pa, yung iba pa hindi pa po pwede, yung mga bata na hindi po pwede. There are actually people who can be allergic or who might be allergic to the vaccine. So may mga ganong tao. That is why we are trying to reach the herd immunity. Herd
Mm.
immunity is there to protect those who cannot be vaccinated because they have certain medical conditions that prevent them from taking the vaccination. If we implement this, if let's say, for the sake of argument, that DOLE provides a labor advisory allowing employees to terminate unvaccinated employees, that is actually bordering on discrimination because not everyone can be vaccinated. I know of people that they really, really want to be vaccinated, but certain ingredients in the vaccine, they are allergic to it. May mga ganong tao, which is why we need the herd immunity. We need people who can be vaccinated to get vaccinated. But absent of labor advisory, please, wag po kayong basta-basta mag-terminate dahil lang po sabi ni Secretary Bello. Okay? Be careful with that unless you have something solid, something in black and white that you can use as a reference. You cannot terminate unvaccinated employees. Ilang beses na po tayo na kuryente dyan last year. May mga pronouncements ng government about certain ayuda, certain amount na ibibigay na biglang, oops, hindi pala. So let's wait for the labor advisory and then we can take the discussion from there. Okay? So, ayan po ha, clear po yan. Huwag po natin i-discriminate yung mga hindi pa po vaccinated. Okay? Ayan, meron po tayong isang Facebook user, sabi niya, we must not feel discouraged for anything that we're not capable of doing. Instead, take it as a challenge to improve oneself. Moreover, we can focus on something that we're good at, something that we can do. Ayan, yung sa ating wow quote for the week yan. Thank you for joining us and for sharing with us your thoughts. What about yung mga ka-HR? What can you say about our HR question for the week? Meron na po ba kayong mga employees na nagtatanong about that? So careful po kayo ha. Agree ako, you can put them on floating status. You cannot terminate them. Ingat-ingat, mahal po ang mag-terminate. At mahal po ang magiging back wages pag kayo po ay nagkaroon ng wrongful termination. Ayan. Mentor Tina,
All
latest news
right.
po from Dole?
I'm so not I'm glad to announce this one kasi sobrang naging viral tong holiday announcement na to. May pasok na daw on November 2, December 24, and December 31. Dati kasi these were considered somewhat of a holiday with premium pay na may additional 30%. So the President Duterte announced earlier in the year that these three dates are now considered a special working day without any premium pay. So kung umabsent ka sa araw na yon, no work, no pay. Pag pumasok ka sa araw na yon, wala siyang premium pay ng 30%. Now, a lot of people got mad about this. I shared it on my wall, got 24,000 shares, got death threats as well regarding this. May I remind everyone that this is not, ito lang, a lot of people are complaining na dapat daw, gusto nila na bakit hindi daw sila pinagbibigyan ng gobyerno sa pagpapahinga. Let us remind everyone, both November 2 and December 24 were not originally stated as the standard list of national holidays and they did not start being so until 2012. All right? My good friend Sir Martin Sanderson shared this. Sabi niya, hindi naman dati holidays tong mga to eh. Bagong news to, okay? So they were actually, prior to 2012, none of these days were actually a holiday. And after that lang, dun lang talaga dinadagdag, yun, ginawa silang special non-working holiday, ginawa silang special working holiday. And now, kasi ang dami-dami talaga tayong lockdowns and totoo lang holidays. So talaga, binawi lang talaga ni President Duterte to actually help the economy. It's only 30%. It's not double pay. A lot of people think it's double pay. It's not. Even November 1, which is All Saints Day, is not a double paid holiday. It's a black holiday. Additional 30% pag pumasok lang po tayo. So, if you think about it, magagalit ka, oh, binawian tayong tatlong holidays. Let us remind everyone there are still 12 national regular red holidays wherein you will have double pay and six special non-working holidays and a lot of different local holidays per different cities, per region, province, or city base that employees can still enjoy. So between 18 holidays and the 3, totoo lang, there's really not much to complain about. Again, this is only 30% of premium pay. Hinay-hinay lang tayo, magtrabaho, maging masaya, and then let us just enjoy the different types of holiday that we still have. Okay? And mind you, if ayaw nyo talaga pumasok sa November 2, December 24, and December 31, pwede naman. No work, no pay lang nga. Okay? Rona?
Yes. Lagi din nating nire-remind ng ating mga members, when it is tagged as a special non-working day, this is always, okay, based on the pronouncement of the President. pwedeng-pwede niyang bawiin when it's a special non-working holiday or a special non-working day. The only list of holidays that cannot be taken back without the act of Congress is the regular holidays. Only
Mm.
those holidays, and we only have 12 of that. If it's not listed there, wag papakasiguro na yun ay magiging holiday. Okay? So we have to be very clear on that. Second, it is true, yung nakita ko nga rin yung comment ni Martin Sanderson, it is true that November 2 and December 24 were not always a holiday. Ano nga yan binabantayan yan palagi. Kasi whenever November 2 falls on a Sunday, for example, hindi yan dinideclare. Or a Saturday, minsan nakakalimutan i-declare, hindi dinideclare na holiday yan. And time and again, nagkaroon na ng mga diskusyon dyan na, ay, hindi na-declare si November 2 because it's not a usual holiday. December 31, on the other hand, has always been a special non-working day. But because it's a special non-working day, again, it can be taken back. Kung pwedeng palitan ng kanyang
Mm.
status to a special working day. Okay? Now, employers, it doesn't mean that you don't have the power to create policies more than what is given. So let's say gusto nyo, like for example, in our case, we have already mentioned to our employees, November 2, December 24, and December 31, wala tayong pasok, pero you get paid. You can do something similar to that if it's something that's sustainable for your company. Kung kaya siya for this year, walang problema. If it's not, you can follow what is required or what is mandated within the advisory. Po pwede naman yun. Employees, on the other hand, you have leave credits, you can make use of that. Okay? You can make use of that. Wag kagad kayo matataranta na bakit ganun. One good thing about declaring this as special working days is that you get 100% if you show up for work. Okay?
Mm.
Remember in the past, if it's a special non-working day, you don't show up for work, wala kang bayad. If you show up, you get 130%. Ngayon, you show up, you get 100%. Okay? If you have leave credits, you can make use of the 30% lang po yung difference na pinag-uusapan natin. It's not that much. I know you might be in need of money right now and you might say na, we are coming from privilege kasi malaki sweldo niya, etc., etc. But that's just 30%. That's very, very small. Okay? If you would really want to take a leave, nothing's preventing you from doing that, but of course, it's subject to approval of your management. Okay? So let's be very clear. Yung mga nagsasabi naman, bakit hindi ibang holidays? Bakit hindi December 8? Bakit hindi November, bakit hindi yung Ninoy Aquino Day? Kasi po, kung mapapansin niyo po sa ating kalendaryo, karamihan po ng holidays fall on November and December. Okay? It's usually November and December. Ba't hindi December 8? Because pag pumasok na po yung December 24, dire-diretso po yan. Mga 2, 3, 4 na araw lang ang pinapasok natin. So might as well dun ka magbawas kasi yun talaga ang tindi ng impact. Halos lahat ng companies typically stop during those period dahil nga sunod-sunod yung holidays. To prevent that from happening, the government decided doon sila kukuha. Okay? Bakit yung November 2? Kasi yung November 2 kahit kailan naman po yan. Para yung EDSA. Minsan holiday, non-working day, minsan hindi yan non-working day. So as long as a holiday is tagged as a special non-working day, asahan niyo po na po pwede po yung bawiin. Huwag po tayong masyadong ma-stress tungkol dito. Huwag po tayong magalit sa mga nag-share nito. Hindi po namin kasalanan. Shinare lang po namin ito. Government po ang nag-declare nito. As much as everyone's saying that the government is medyo kalat-kalat yung mga decision nila, I do understand where they're coming from and I do think that there was some thought process naman on why they decided that these days would be special working days. Okay? So kalma lang po tayo. This year lang naman po yan. Next year, baka kasama pa rin po siya sa holiday. Wala pa tayong announcement for the 2022 holidays. So mali natin, baka next year, if things are different, yung ating situation right now is much better, baka next year ay considered na sila as holiday. Okay? So pwede pa rin po yung makasama. Next year, ang pinaka-sure pa lang tayo ay yung mga regular holidays natin, ng ating special non-working days ay medyo hindi pa natin alam. But hopefully, if conditions improve, baka maisama na ulit sila sa ating mga holidays. Okay po? So kalma lang po mga ka-HR. Huwag masyadong ma-stress. In case you're wondering kung ano po ang pinagbabasihan nitong ating pagde-declare ng special working day, this is based on Proclamation number 1107. Yan po yung mga nag-declare ng ating regular holidays for the year 2021. This was February 26. Nandito na po, nakasama na po dito na yung ating tatlong days na ito ay special working days na po. So nakalagay na po yan. Okay? So for next year, antayin na lang po natin, wag po muna tayong ma-stress. Okay? At syempre pa po, ang ating SSS may announcement din po dahil ang certain parts of the Philippines right now ay sinalanta po ng Typhoon Fabian. So sinasabi po ni SSS that they are already offering, they have guidelines, they have released guidelines for assistance for SSS members affected by Typhoon Fabian. So tatlo po yung types of assistance. Number one is the Calamity Loan Assistance Program for member borrowers whose residence is in the areas affected by the calamity. Kung nasa NCR po kayo, kalma po, hindi po buong NCR ay po pwede po mag-apply for calamity loan assistance. Ang declared areas lang po under state of calamity would include Calapan, Oriental Mindoro, Nauhan, Oriental Mindoro, and Malabon, NCR. Yan lang pong tatlong yan ang currently under state of calamity. Other areas are not yet declared to be under state of calamity. Intayin nyo po na magkaroon ng announcement. Pag nagkaroon po ng announcement yan, bubuksan naman po ng SSS ang kanilang Calamity Loan Assistance Program. Okay po? Aside from the Calamity Loan Assistance Program, si SSS po ay nagpo-provide ng 3-month advance pension for the SSS pensioners, SSS and EC pensioners residing in the areas that I have mentioned. So kung kayo po ay SSS and EC pensioner at kayo po ay nasa Calapan, Nauhan, and Malabon, pwede po kayo makatanggap ng 3-month advance pension. Meron din po silang pinoprovide na direct house repair and improvement loan for SSS members doon sa mga areas na naapektuhan na nasiraan po ng mga tahanan. So pwede po kayo mag-take advantage of that para po may paayos po inyo po mga kabahayan. Doon po sa mga mag-take advantage ng calamity loan assistance po, this is payable within 2 years. The loan amortization will start on the second month following approval of loan. Payment deadline would be, as usual po, last day of the month. Meron po yung service fee na yung service fee po na 1% is waived na po siya. So, hindi nyo na po yung kailangan problemahin. But, you would still be charged an interest rate of 10% per annum until fully paid po ang inyo pong calamity loan. Ang filing of application po for calamity loan for the affected areas can be done online. Pero tandaan po natin na dapat kayo po ay fully paid na dun sa inyong huling calamity loan bago po kayo makapag-take advantage nitong panibagong calamity loan assistance po ng SSS. Kung meron po kayong overpayment dun sa huling calamity loan niyo po, i-apply po yan dun sa inyong pong current at yung pinakabago niyo po ma-approve na calamity loan. Okay po? So yan pong release po niyaan ng inyong loan proceeds will be via your ATM, yung UMID niyo po, or through the Union Bank Quick Card or kung ano man po yung in-endorse niyo po na ATM account or bank account dun po sa inyong disbursement account po with SSS. Okay? So yan po yung sa calamity loan. Pagdating naman po doon sa advance pension, ito po ay para lang po sa mga existing retiree, disability and survivor pensioners as well as EC disability and survivor pensioners. Sila lang po yung makakakuha niyan. Kailangan po kayo po ay living dun sa calamity area declared by NDRRMC. Pwede po kayo mag-apply. Ina-apply po yan 3-month advance pension starting November 2, 2021 until Feb 1, 2022. So, kalma lang po muna kayo mag-apply ngayon kahit kayo po ay eligible. November 2 pa po mag-open yung application for that. Pag nag-open na po, tsaka pa lang po kayo makakapag-apply. Kailangan nyo pong mag-submit ng application for assistance due to calamity or disaster. At ito pong form na ito ay kailangan po certified by your barangay chairman. So, yan po, kailangan, yung pong application po niyan ay offline po. Kaya kailangan nyo pong makuha or ma-download yung application form for that. Okay, makukuha nyo po ang application form sa website po ng SSS once i-open na po nila yan. Ang release po ng benefit is through check. Hindi po ito idediretso sa inyo pong bank account. So, bibigyan po kayo ng cheque within 10 working days from the receipt of your application. Okay, yung check po ay i-mail po sa inyo pong emailing address na nakalagay po sa inyo pong SSS account doon po sa online. Okay, so i-check niyo po kung tama po yung inyong address. Okay? And then the resumption of the monthly pension will automatically be done by the system after the 3-month period po. Okay? So, i-advance lang po nila sa inyo after 3 months po, tsaka ulit magre-resume yung inyo pong makukuha po ng monthly pension. Kung kayo naman po ay gusto mag-take advantage ng repair and improvement loan of SSS, ang po pwede po dito ay mga currently employed, self-employed, voluntary, and OFW members na nakatira po doon sa mga areas na nasalanta ni Typhoon Fabian. Okay? Kailangan po kayo po ay merong at least 24 monthly contributions, 3 contributions, 3 of which is within the 12-month period prior to the month of application. Okay? So kailangan, again, 24 monthly contributions, 3 of which is within the 12-month period. Dapat po kayo po ay hindi lalagpas ng 60 years old by the time of filing at hindi pa po kayo nabibigyan ng kahit na anong house repair or improvement loan by SSS. Okay? Hindi din, kailangan din na hindi pa kayo nabibigyan ng any final benefit. So kung kayo po ay nakatanggap na ng final benefit, retirement, total disability, maaaring hindi na po kayo ma-approve for housing improvement loan. Okay? Ang loan amount po, maximum loanable amount is at 1 million subject to repricing every 5 years. Ayan po. So yan po ang pinapasabi ni SSS kung kayo po ay affected ni Typhoon Fabian. Okay? And pinapa-remind din po ni SSS na na-extend po ang deadline relative to disbursement of pensions through non-PesoNet participating banks. So, base po sa Circular Number 2021-003B, in-extend po ito from September 30, 2021 to March 31, 2022 para po bigyan ng enough time ang ating mga pensioners na mag-comply po sa SSS requirement under Circular Number 2020-024 na nirelease naman po noong September 22 last year. Okay, so kailangan po i-ensure ng inyo pong mga endorsed na bank account po, disbursement account online, ay PesoNet member po. Para po sa listahan ng mga PesoNet member po, pwede nyo pong puntahan ang website ng SSS para makita nyo po kung sino po yung mga participating banks. Po, pwede rin po kayong mag-check online kung sino-sino ba yung mga bangko that are part of PesoNet. Ayan po. Okay? At syempre pa, ang ating pong pinakapaboritong government agency, nire-remind po kayo ni Pag-ibig. Kung kayo po ay walang Pag-ibig, kumuha na po ng Pag-ibig dahil ang membership registration po sa Pag-ibig ay walang bayad. Pag meron pong nanginingil sa inyo, para daw tulungan kayo na kumuha ng membership ng Pag-ibig, membership sa Pag-ibig or yung Pag-ibig ID, naku po, hindi po yan tama. Ang membership po, registration of membership ay walang bayad. ID, meron po yung bayad, pero dapat po ay diretso po kayo sa Pag-ibig, nagbabayad. At hindi sa kung sino-sino lang po sa online, sa Facebook na nagsasabi na kayo ay kaya nilang ipila sa Pag-ibig para po sa inyong ID. Dapat kayo pong kumukuha niyan dahil kukunin po ni Pag-ibig ang inyong pong biometrics para masiguro na kayo po talaga ang may-ari niyan. Okay? So, iwasan at huwag magbibigay ng personal information sa mga website, blog, Facebook page o mga tanggapan na nagpapanggap na Pag-ibig Fund. Meron po tayong DPA, ingatan po natin yan. Huwag basta-basta nagpo-post ng inyong Pag-ibig number online. Kumuha ng tamang impormasyon mula sa website po ng Pag-ibig, sa kanila pong Facebook page or sa kanila pong website pag-ibigfund.gov.ph. Kung kayo naman po ay meron ng Pag-ibig number, meron na pong online Pag-ibig para naman po matrack nyo ang inyong pong mga contributions at makita nyo po yung inyong pong mga loan at loan payments po. Okay? Ang membership registration sa Pag-ibig, again, ay walang bayad at hindi naniningil ng anumang fees ang Pag-ibig para sa mga ganitong serbisyo. Pinapaalala ng Pag-ibig, maging mapanuri at huwag basta-basta naniniwala. Fake news po ang ibang nakikita natin sa website, sa online po at lalo na sa Facebook. Kaya siguraduhin po na tamang Facebook page ang atin pong tinitignan. Pinapaalala naman ni PhilHealth, kung kayo po ay nag-asawa, nagkaroon na po ng bagong dependent, nanganak, lumipat ng tirahan, nagbago po ng address, paki-update po ang inyong records sa PhilHealth. Pwede nyo pong i-update yan by filling up the PhilHealth member registration form, magsama po ng supporting documents at isubmit po sa Action Center at philhealth.gov.ph using the subject MEM space update space your name space province/city/region. Pwede nyo po yung i-update online, okay? By sending po an email doon po sa sinabi natin, actioncenter@philhealth.gov.ph. Kung wala pa pong PhilHealth number, down pa po ang online registration po for PhilHealth. Kailangan nyo pong pumunta sa PhilHealth mismo. Magdala lang po kayo ng membership registration form at birth certificate plus valid IDs po para makakuha po kayo ng inyong PhilHealth number. Ayan. At ang PhilHealth po, nire-remind din po kayo, be aware, mas magandang alam mo ang iyong benepisyo. So, benepisyo mo, alamin mo, at isa sa mga benepisyong binibigay ni PhilHealth ay ang coverage po for essential hypertension up to 9,000 pesos. So, kung kayo po ay mayroong essential hypertension, po pwede po kayong mag-avail ng coverage na ito. Pag essential hypertension po, hindi po yung tipong feeling mo lang na high blood ka, nainis ka sa katrabaho mo na high blood ka, hindi po yan essential hypertension. Ang hypertension po ay yung talaga po kayo ay na-diagnose at kailangan po manage po ang inyo pong blood pressure, ko-cover po yan ni PhilHealth. Okay? Para po sa karagdagang impormasyon tungkol po sa mga coverages ni PhilHealth, yan po lahat ay makikita nyo sa kanilang website. Kung may time po kayo, isa-isahin nyo po yan para at least alam nyo po kung ano yung mga coverage. So, marami po kayong pwedeng i-take advantage sa PhilHealth. Think of PhilHealth as your HMO card. Parang ganun po siya. Marami po siyang po pwedeng i-cover. So, make sure po that you are aware of what your benefits are. Ayan. At syempre pa po, i-remind din ni PhilHealth na syempre dahil po sa ating sitwasyon ngayon, meron din po silang mga benepisyo para po sa COVID-19. So testing po, meron pong RT-PCR from 901 pesos to 3,409. Pag cartridge based naman po, it's 1,059 to 2,287. Pag kayo po ay kailangang magpa-test sa COVID according dun sa mga requirements po ng DOH. Pag kayo naman po ay nag-home isolation or community isolation, meron din po kayong coverage na po pwede pong asahan para po ito sa mga pasyenteng asymptomatic o meron pong slight symptoms lang po at pumasa po sa social criteria. Baka po isipin nyo na dahil kayo ay nag-home isolation, pwede na po kayo mag-take advantage. Basahin po natin ang PC 2021-0014 or PhilHealth Circular number 2021-0014 para alam po natin kung ano yung mga requirements to take advantage of the home isolation and community isolation. Okay? At syempre po, meron din pong inpatient care para po sa mga COVID-19 na mga patients. Kung kayo po ay merong mild pneumonia, up to 43,997. Moderate is up to 143,267. Severe is at 3,333,519, while critical is at 786,384. Sure po ako dyan, medyo may mga kakilala po tayo na unfortunately ay tinamaan ng COVID and they were able to take advantage of the critical pneumonia package, 7,800 plus po yung naibawas po sa kanilang bill. Alam po natin na mahirap po si COVID, may mga bills po tayo na umaabot ng 1 million plus. So make sure po na updated ang inyong PhilHealth para in case na, wag naman po sana, pero in case na po natamaan po kayo ng COVID, ay meron po kayong magagamit to cover yung mga costs po sa hospital. Kung kayo naman po ay natatakot na magpabakuna dahil baka may mangyari sa inyo na side effects at hindi kayanin ng inyong katawan, pinapaalala po ni PhilHealth na there is actually a vaccine injury compensation amounting to 100,000 pesos para po sa mga miyembro na ospital or permanenteng nabalda o namatay dulot ng seryoso at masamang epekto ng COVID-19 vaccine. Kung kayo po ay nagpabakuna, nagkalagnat, inantok, hindi makapagtrabaho, kalma, hindi po yan para sa inyo. Hindi po yan, hindi pa po yan injury. Yan po ay side effects lang po. Sinabi naman po ng mga manufacturers po ng vaccine na meron po yung side effects. So maaari po na magkalagnat po kayo, mangalay ang inyong kamay kung saan kayo nabakunahan, maaari po kayong madaling mapagod. Yan po ay kasama po sa mga side effects. After 2 to 3 days, nawawala din naman po kagad yan. Pero kung kayo po ay na-ospital dahil lang sa bakuna, hindi po naging maganda ang epekto sa inyo ng bakuna, nabalda, or nagkaroon po ng seryoso at masamang epekto, yan, pwede po kayong mag-apply for vaccine injury compensation. Bisitahin lamang po ang PhilHealth Circular number 2021-007 para po alam nyo kung ano po yung mga magiging coverage nyo po pag kayo po ay nagkaroon po ng vaccine injury. Ayan po. Mentor Tina, it's your turn para naman po sa ating mga sponsors.
Visit El Puerto Marina. Good. Next. And then we do have our sponsor as well. We have been telling everybody to please sign up to if you want to have a virtual HR certification program. We do offer a 25% discount for members. So this is for enroll for this session today. Lalo na sa BNext. People Matters. Next. And then there is also People Force. With People Force, it is somewhat of an HRIS program where you can have everything integrated in one thing. There is a free 2 week free trial for our members. So please contact our People Force today. And finally, we have Maxicare. If you still do not have your HMOs, one of the ways for you to prevent people or to protect your members is to actually have Maxicare as part of your health card. It is a prepaid health card, one-time payment, only one-time use. But there is a lot of benefits to that because if the person gets COVID-19, sometimes the expenses is even more. So if you have any questions for anyone, please do not hesitate to contact myself, Rona, Coach Darwin, or Coach Burns if you want to be added into our announcements or to sponsor our program. And lastly, for our free webinar, we're very happy to announce the our guest speakers for today. Allow me to introduce Miss Jasmine Maxino, who graduated 2015 from UST Behavioral Science. She started working at a tech company and then joined Piandre's Salon in 2017, where she is now the HR head for almost 400 people. This is really career goals. Again, let me remind everyone, 2017 graduate and is now the HR head, showing that Piandre Salon is one of the companies that actually recognizes excellence and performance and promotes from within. We also have Miss Andrea Lorenzana, who has been working at the family-owned Piandre Salon for 20 years. She is a graduate of the Ateneo de Manila University and holds a master's degree in entrepreneurship, also from ADMU. We'd like to welcome our two guest speakers who has a very interesting way of sharing with us their experience over the last COVID-19 pandemic, how Piandre Salon was able to thrive, bounce back, and actually come back stronger than ever despite being in a very challenging industry. Laging tinatawag ang personal care. Sa lahat ng lockdowns, ang personal care industry is one of the last to open up. They're also the ones with the most stringent IATF regulations. And so far, lagi-lagi kinakalimutan sila palagi ng ating gobyerno, and yet they have thrived and bounced back. Let us welcome Miss Andrea and Miss Jasmine into the HR Cafe.
Good
Thank
afternoon, Miss
you.
Andrea.
Good
Good afternoon,
afternoon.
Jasmine.
Good afternoon
Thanks for
po.
having us.
Ayan. So
Thanks, Tina.
we'll give you the floor para you can do
Okay.
your discussion na po. Okay? Backstage na punta
Thanks,
kayo.
Miss Rona. Okay, so thank you for inviting us. Thank you to Tina for having me here. We have never met in person, but I started stalking her on Facebook after joining this group, and I've messaged her many times in the last year because she has given me so much insights on HR practices. So I'm happy to kind of finally meet her here and also to meet all of you. So I'm Andrea Zulueta Lorenzana. I'm the general manager of Piandra Salon. Piandra's HR head Jasmine is here also with us today. I asked her to speak also later to give us, including me, an insight of what it might be like handling people in an organization like Piandre. So so Jasmine will join us later. So let me first give you a background of Piandre. We were established in 1987, and right now we have almost 400 employees spread across 13 branches, 12 in Manila and one in Cebu. So my mom started it in 1987, and I joined the company back in 2001, first in the office, and then I learned to cut hair, and then as a trainer, and then now as a general manager overseeing operations. So early on, my mom said that we needed to focus on taking care of our staff so that they can better so that they can better take care of our clients. So we know that in a salon business and a personal care industry, you can't be watching everyone 24 hours a day. So we really wanted to focus on our staff to make them strong skills wise, attitude wise, and also to deepen their spirituality. So a few years ago, we used the word great to be our guiding mantra in terms of values among the salon staff. Let me share it with you today because I think this gives you insight into what we value as a company. So, yeah, our PNR values are gratitude, respect, enthusiasm, accountability, and trustworthiness. So, with gratitude, like Miss Tina mentioned kanina, um, you have to practice gratitude in the small things so that you can appreciate also the big things. We hope that our staff would appreciate and be grateful for all the best things, big and small, that happen every day. I think gratitude is also more real in PNR because of our cooperative, which we are very proud of. It's the only salon cooperative in the country, and two of our 13 salons are owned by the staff, and the earnings of the cooperative go into dividends that get shared among many people. I think because of the cooperative, people have more gratitude now for what they earn, that they also know that running a business means also not getting paid sometimes or being abonado. I think the cooperative gives our staff perspective, which has a lot to do also with having gratitude. The second is respect. I think we show our staff a high level of respect and they reciprocate it back. A few years ago, when traffic was so bad, we had our staff coming in always late and tired. So we thought about it and wondered how we could help. So in early 2018, we did a compressed work week where people would go to work only 5 days a week instead of 6 days. This is unheard of in the salon industry, and this change, of course, stressed the clients who were used to coming in regularly every day. But eventually, we put our foot down, and the clients got used to it. They followed. What happened was actually not much money lost from our company. I don't think we lost any money there, but we were able to give our staff a more balanced life in terms of spending time with family and taking much needed rest. The third is enthusiasm. This is something that we feel we need in a salon business. I remember someone telling us that the simple act of blow drying the hair needs also enthusiasm. Kung papatay-patay yung tao, ang dali din bumagsak ng buhok. Our salon needs to have a certain energy. There needs to be a feeling of joy when you come in because it reflects in our work and translates to the overall customer experience. We have also accountability. So this might be surprising to everybody, but we don't have managers in each salon. The receptionists and senior stylists help guide our staff to make sure they're following. There are culture keepers, and they help us keep people in check. In the salon business, there's no escaping client complaints. With our value of accountability, we don't penalize mistakes as much. We don't even charge our staff if we return money or if we spend more to make it up to the client. Of course, within reason, but very rarely do we charge the staff because we want them to feel also secure to report their mistakes, which is more important for us than the money lost. Our last value is trustworthiness that can only happen if we are reliable and honest, which means that we have to be good at what we do and invest in our skills training. It also means that we have to be truthful. So, trustworthiness for us means being reliable and truthful. So, it also means that whatever we say we'll use in terms of products and the correct procedure, we have to do as we say. So, that's the basic values of PNR: gratitude, respect, enthusiasm, accountability, and trustworthiness. But this also won't mean that much in how I explain our culture, but maybe I can show you. So this picture that I'm going to show you was a picture last January 2020 when we had our annual Thanksgiving Mass. So the time on the clock actually says 6:10, and that's in the morning. And most of the people here had been there since 5:45 a.m. So that's around 380 people all coming in together for Mass and blessing of the hands. So I love this photo because it tells you how much everyone values showing up and celebrating together as a community. So if you see, parang people were here early and with much enthusiasm, and this is kind of, I think, all of our values coming into play. And I felt that this picture meant a lot. That them showing up and ready for something as simple as a community mass, which ended an hour and a half. So yeah, there for that. This for me is what P. Andrea is all about. Um, I invited our HR manager to come and talk because I felt that she will give a different perspective in what happened during the year of the pandemic. So I would like to ask her to speak first, and then I'll come back and sort of explain more of how we pivoted. So if we can, yeah, Jasmine.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Jasmine Magsino from PNJ Group of Companies, and today I will share with you my experiences as an HR practitioner during the pandemic. So, just a quick throwback to my first year with Piandre, I had such a culture shock because it was also different from the corporate structure that I was first exposed to. From annual retreats and recollection to preparing a presentation for the responses for a holy mass. Piandre's company employee engagement comes in the form of a sign of the cross and not so much on beach trips and company paid dinners. When I joined the company, it was evident that when you come here, you just experience the Lord. The management was able to encourage the staff to live their faith by making it present physically in the workplace, with the 3 o'clock prayer being played out, mass weddings, and their annual blessing of the hands. And mentally, in the lessons they share via our monthly meetings and in references when we coach, train, and administer our hearings. And in our work from home setup, through our internal Facebook group we call P&J Flix. When the salons and offices closed in March 2020, the company launched P&J Flix as a virtual meeting place and announcement board for all employees and immediately set up Facebook Live sessions for the values formation topics and skills training modules. So even when we were physically away, we are all still in touch, all of us sharing and learning our thoughts together, all of us present in the waiting, holding on to shared evidences of our faith. Another is that we maintained our communication lines open. Chats that were once filled with staff and facility concerns became channels through which we were able to know our colleagues and more how they were holding up through the tough times. We call this activity our kamustahan, a conversation that is very casual and very personal. While other peers in HR would share to me that they had been called to look into how they may restructure benefits and workdays of their staff, categorize which employees can continue to be part of the skeletal team or who may be let go of. I was either busy encouraging our staff to watch our virtual live sessions or check up on them, or maybe preparing the payroll earlier than we used to because the staff needs something to get by for their daily needs. So PN Flix and the Kamustahan, both very easy ways of transitioning from face-to-face interactions to virtual ones, enable the employers and the employees to reciprocate each other's needs. The management held its integrity by informing the staff that resources are finite, but that their responsibility of providing income is still a priority, while the staff were responding to this by being flexible and adapting to all possible changes. But more than the financial assistance, naturally the management and the staff became more present in each other's lives. And as romantic as it sounds, it gave that safety net of really having someone, a whole community at that, who was always there to rely on. One of my favorite sharing from Piandre Flick's live sessions was that of Rowell Damonsen's 20-mile march to the South Pole. Amundsen is one of the greatest figures in the field of polar exploration. His team would march 20 miles a day in any weather and under any circumstance. But aside from Amundsen's team, there was another team who would only go out on a good weather day. Amundsen's 20 miles a day strategy worked because the team was able to reach the South Pole first. I remember the story as we prepared to open up in a workplace and business landscape that shifted into something we were all not familiar with, operating with very limited capacity, client hesitancy to come in, salon staff working on a two-team rotation per week, office staff working on a mixed office and work from home setup, and the business running with very minimal income. It felt less abundant than before, and not our usual walk in the park kind of weather. As much as we advocate being in this together and being adaptive to everything that's going on, sadly, there were colleagues who will not be able to carry on and shine like they did. Some refused vaccinations when others were rushing to get shots so they can get back to work with that extra layer of protection. Some complained that their masks kept falling under their nose and that it was so uncomfortable, when others were more mindful of their protective equipment. Some, who were not able to manage added or modified tasks when their peers and workmates have been stretching their capacities and touching base with the management in making ends meet, all to find a sense of stability in these trying times. Majority of us did strive to come through, but not all of us were built for a long trek under the unfavorable weather. Personally, there was also times that I also felt that I can't keep up, but something in me made it possible to go back to work with a more accepting mindset, and that all of these has to be done, not only for myself, but also for the people I'm working with and the organization that I'm part of. If anything, I feel that having this sense of responsibility and community made me stay and show up despite being burnt out from my tasks and having that anxiety of getting infected with the virus. But accepting the current circumstances is something that I didn't learn myself. I may say that it was mostly from the influence of my bosses. We have seen them trying out innovations that may not have 100% success rates, but were bold enough to proceed with. And we have seen how they have responded to all of the new regulations with such can do attitude and even translated those into something that the staff can easily follow and implement. They were always there, doing what has to be done every day, little by little, within their means. On one hand, these changes brought about by the pandemic asked for so much from the employers and business owners, with every new government guideline asking them to implement this and that as soon as the announcements were published. On the other, you will see employees struggling with either having a job where you would have to follow all of these new rules, while others sadly having none to look forward to. It was chaotic as the changes had to occur immediately. No 1 month or a year to revamp everything that we were used to. And the house of transitioning became very vague. But what our team anchored on was where and who we wanted to be after the pandemic, and especially who we wanted to be with us when we reached that goal. The vision was one, to get through the pandemic safely, to follow all the new regulations and procedures sa abot ng makakaya, as we would say. Second, to remain with Christ through our culture of praying and actively growing in our faith together. And third, to get there with everyone whom we started the journey with, which meant trusting our leaders to guide us through. Just like Rowell Damonsen and how he was able to reach the South Pole ahead of his competitor by marching 20 miles a day in any weather and under any circumstance. Our management's sense of responsibility for one's business, their employees, and their families kept the company and the staff going during the pandemic. Despite the virus, the lockdowns, and new regulations, we march our 20 miles a day with our values as a team intact. That's all, and thank you for listening. Good afternoon again to everyone.
Thanks, Jazz. Thank you, Jasmine. So, um, yes. So, to start siguro the next part of how we did it, in the very early days of lockdown, I attended a recollection by this Ateneo professor called Bobby Guevara. And he read a poem that I want to share with you today because I think this will explain the next part of my talk. So, it's a poem by Joyce Rupp. So, old maps no longer work. I keep pulling it out, the old map of my inner path. I squint closely at it, trying to see some hidden road that maybe I've missed. But there's nothing there now except some well traveled paths. They have seen my footsteps often, held my laughter, caught my tears. I keep going over the old map, but now the roads lead nowhere, a meaningless wilderness where life is dull and futile. Toss away the old map, she says. You must be kidding, I reply. She looks at me with Sarah eyes and repeats, toss it away. It's of no use where you're going. I have to have a map, I cry. Even if it takes me nowhere, I can't be without direction. But you are without direction, she says. So why not let go, be free? So there I am, tossing away the old map, sadly, fearfully, putting it behind me. Whatever will I do, wails my security. Trust me, says my midlife soul. No map, no specific directions, no this way ahead or take a left. How will I know where to go? How will I find my way? No map. But then my midlife soul whispers, there was a time before maps when pilgrims traveled by the stars. It is time for the pilgrim in me to travel in the dark, to learn to read the stars that shine in my soul. I will walk deeper into the dark of my night. I will wait for the stars, trust their guidance, and let their light be enough for me. Jasmine says that we moved so much during this time. I remember it was really during this time that we had no map to rely on. We were taking care of each regulation, um, just making sure that each thing was getting ticked off. So for once in 20 years, in 30 years that Piandre has existed, we were in uncharted territory, but we didn't have to wait. We did have to wait for the little light to guide us, the little light that would be enough for our next step. So last year we launched our home service that was fully backed. Was fully backed and supported by the company. So in all our years in the salon business, home service was looked down upon because many people felt that we would lose our business in the salon to our staff who would just go do home service in their days off on their own. But again, we had to throw out our map and let ourselves be guided. So we've been doing it already for the last year, for more than 15 months, and our home service contributes significantly to our bottom line. That as of today, even after more than a year, our business in the salon is growing, and we have had zero reports of staff going on their own. Our second light was to reconfigure our salon space to make it safer for our clients. So we reconfigured our stations, converted our private rooms to staff areas. We threw out the map again and used valuable revenue earning spaces as safe spaces for our clients and our staff. Because of the threat also of COVID, we reduced our hours at the salon and then reduced days but kept the rate at minimum wage, which meant that we were paying them for 6 days instead of 3 or 4 days. I know that's difficult, to be fair, but like Miss Rana spoke kanina about the parable of talents, when we talked to them about the workers in the vineyard who came in the morning and some in the afternoon, they understood that this was not the time to be jealous and entitled. Having two teams was one way we could make a safe environment for our clients and to ensure business continuity. When one of our staff tested positive, her whole team was put on quarantine for 2 weeks and the other team went in for 2 weeks. This, I think, gave us more credibility also with the clients. Our major renovation also included making hand washing stations in all the lobbies of our salons, and it was amusing that it was an added feature in the nice to have requirement in the IATF Safe Spaces program. When we got back to work in May 2021 with our hand washing stations in place, the light for our next step shone on how to get our staff vaccinated. After the seniors were vaccinated, we talked to everyone and again how important it was to get vaccinated. In the middle of it, everyone helped out. Our receptionists were registering our staff in different cities online. We were sending our delivery vans to shuttle people around town. When we heard that there would be slots open for walk-ins, we would bring them all as it was a tremendous effort that as of today, all of our staff are fully vaccinated. During this last lockdown in August, where we were closed for 6 weeks, we had to revisit again our online PN Reflect sessions. And this time we gave them an almost daily session about our trip to the Holy Land. I think this last lockdown was really difficult on a lot of us. I know many of my friends went into a depression because maybe it felt different. Like we were so happy about being vaccinated, about having hope that this would be over, and then Delta took over. I know the PN Reflect sessions helped us, maybe me, more than it helped our staff. So about a week before we were about to open last September 16, my mom noticed that all our home services in our clients' houses were already being done outdoors, in the garden, in the garage. So we did another light, where we took a next step. And this is our home service area. It's in the roof deck in the fifth floor of our Timog Salon. And we were quite surprised when a few days before the opening, the IATF announced that our capacity would be 10% indoors and 30% outdoors, copying the restaurant guidelines. This was laughed at by many people, but when people asked which salon had an outdoor area, we had to say we do. I guess it's also throwing out the map again. So our outdoor salon is open until 9 p.m. and it's actually a nice place to go at night, instead of eating out, maybe. So we are moving again and again. We are moving without a map and looking up at Jesus to guide us for the next step. We've been open for a little over a month already, and our sales has been steadily increasing despite the 10%, 20%, then 30% capacity. People ask us how we are surviving after 18 months of the pandemic, where our sales sometimes have dwindled to only 10% of what it used to be, but we continue to pay our staff and our obligations. We have kept almost all of our staff throughout this time, and people wonder how we did it. And I think because everyone has been through so much, there was time for much pause and reflection. So after seeing so much of death pass you by in the last 18 months, it kind of puts things in perspective. And there were assets that were sold to stay afloat. Because in the end, what really matters, what is really important, and what is really enough. I learned recently through a homily on the Beatitudes, that the kingdom of God is at hand for those who do God's will. In Tagalog, we are promised 100-fold blessings na siksik, liglig, umaapaw. But I always thought that we will get a reward in heaven at the end of our life with a mansion in heaven or whatever riches promised in heaven. But recently I learned that revisiting the Beatitudes, the promise is right now at this present moment. The reward is already ours. And certainly we've had so much joy in these last 18 months of giving despite great financial loss and sacrifice. So Tina asked me, how do you convince your staff to go to work? I said, that's not a big problem for us. After we released the last salary for no work incurred, I got a Facebook message from one of our staff, our senior staff, asking if she can go to work because level 4 had no seniors. So she said she was grateful for this allowance even during lockdown, but she felt that it was time for her to go back to give back. I told her maybe you should write a letter so that we consider it. The next day, I received not only a letter from her, but several letters from our senior staff asking to report to work immediately. And it's not just the staff. A surprising consequence is that even our clients have taken on this walang iwanan concept. In our business, our clients consider our staff family, so when they ask how they are and find out that they've been kept afloat, the clients do their best to keep our business afloat too. There are several clients who have recommended us to all their friends, who have included their helpers in the home service. There are clients who help us out by calling our attention when things are not up to standard instead of posting it on social media. There's a powerful compassion and support coming from our clients that was not there before. They want us to survive, they tell us, no more discount, then they have all the works done. Some say because they want to help the owners. That really touched me because now I feel the clients are invested also in our success. So I guess that's how we are surviving. I can honestly say that what we received in the last 18 months has been so much more, something unquantifiable, that really when we follow the beatitudes where truly God's ways are not our ways, the reward is here and now and also overflowing and abundant. The last 18 months has been a constant calibration for us to try to live out the values of Jesus in our lives and in our business. My new goal as the next generation of the company is to really continue my mom's legacy of making a truly Christ centered business that is profitable and fruitful, that provides livelihood, that will uplift people out of poverty levels, not just for themselves, but for succeeding generations. There. Thank you.
Okay, ayan po. Wait lang. Naka-mute pala ako kanina. Naku, napakaganda naman po ng ng sharing ninyo, Miss Jasmine and Miss Andrea. I got a lot from out of it. The story of Piandre is not something that's new to me. I've heard it before. I've heard it last year pa, actually. I just cannot remember who the speaker was, but they're in awe of how Piandre was able to adapt to the situation. And I think that's something that's very, very important right now. The ability of businesses to really adapt. But more than that, the ability of businesses to have a heart for their people. It starts with having a heart for your people. When you have a heart for your people and you really take the time to look at what's important to them, the employees themselves now have feel that they need to give back. So the equal level of commitment, binibigay din nila. And I think that's something that we have to keep in mind. I keep seeing a lot of HR professionals in Philippines HR group posting na how do we take care of our employees, what do we do, when the best thing to do is to ask the employees themselves. And I think that's one of the reasons why Piandre is really thriving right now. It's because instead of asking other people, you really take the time to talk to your own employees. Kaya si own employees and the clients are also taking the time to reach out to you instead of reaching out to somebody else. And I think that's something that's beautiful. What do you say, Mentor Tina?
This is the only talk where I actually teared up behind the scenes. Never I'm not a very emotional person. I'm very practical and you know how I am. But the story of Piandre is really a role model for all entrepreneurs and business owners. Like sa akin, I always think na sa akin parang mabait na ako eh. Pero when I hear what Andrea and her mom has done for the 300, okay? Well paid employees of Piandre, talaga you can really see the great sacrifices. It's really about giving back to your people, literally. Because a lot of people before the pandemic, they always say nobody will ever say they will always say, you know what, our number one clients are our people, our employees are our number one customers, we love them. And then pagdating ng March and April, walang ayuda. Like you feel as if, what are you doing? Diba? Yung mga ang daming employers talaga na nagpabaya sa employees na kasi totoo naman talaga, no work, no pay. And to be honest, I know Piandre has been on lockdown longer than most other industries. Kailan kayo bumalik, Andrea? Sa amin kasi, we were back by May 15. When were you able to come back and at how many percent last year?
Yeah, last year was tough. We were June 7, but only for haircut, which is parang the cheapest, and and that was long. That I think was until July 15, something like that. That was long.
Oh,
And in the meantime, we had to pay all our staff. It was
sana
actually
yon,
very,
yeah.
stress, very stress. But in the beginning of the pandemic, my mom said, "Okay, I will pay for all your salaries. Tuloy, tuloy." Because of course, everyone was so nervous, right? But
Right, right.
syempre, we didn't know na
It's
tatagal.
gonna be
Parang we
that
didn't know
long.
na, nako, ang tagal pala. So, parang we said, okay, after 2 weeks, may pera, may pera daw, may pera. So, after 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks again, and then I think sometime in June we got ayuda from the government na
Yeah.
SSS
Me.
benefit. So, yun. So parang that covered that that payroll.
That's
So malaki rin eh. Parang there's a lot of things that were that saved us. I always say Jesus saves our, but it's not a good word to say. But parang I always say na for some reason we've been able to survive. But nga with sacrifice. Um yeah.
Jasmine,
It's
I'd
one
like to ask you, kasi we've heard what Andrea and her mom is, diba? But at that time, I think the 300 people
Mhm.
did not really know what was going on. You didn't know
Mhm.
how the lockdown will be. There's a lot of problems with the different IATF rules. How was it being in the center of the storm? Lalo na 300 people ha. Like just imagine if
Mhm.
300 people reached out to you, how would you and your team handle it? Could you walk us through those critical times?
Mhm. So, I guess it was very difficult for me. I wasn't the kind of HR who's very up to date with all of the labor guidelines, labor advisory, but I had to. So, I joined the SSS, the PhilHealth, all of these websites. I even sometimes try to call the Dole hotline. How should we implement these? And but what really helped us was having that virtual place where it's just simple sharings, and we were there together, and it was parang all the changes, even if going through payroll to payroll, it was always led by our management, and our staff were always on board waiting for what we will do, what we will announce. And it was just being present in that moment, that okay, there's something new, how do we do this? And then we implement, we do what we have to do in HR, because mostly of course it's a very HR, the core of all of the changes comes from the HR, because it's management, then HR, then people. So I guess just having someone there present with you and being in that moment para hindi ka maligaw. So you have that thing that's always just be there and
Could you tell
implement
us
these things. Yes.
could you tell us more about this virtual place? Is it StreamYard? Is it Zoom? Is it like a
It's
GC? I mean, can you share with us talaga? Do you have like a program? Is there a time of day? How did you
mm,
guys kasi there's 300 employees. That's a lot of
mhm,
people to reach at one time. Which technology did you have and how did you
mhm.
implement that?
We used Facebook. We created a private group for all of our employees. We admitted everyone who was joining, because we had to make sure they were our employees. All of our bosses were there. Um, yeah.
Baka
So at
competitor,
the
di ba?
very yeah. So at the very beginning, it was around 11 before lunch, so that people already might have cooked their lunch and prepared everything for their family, and can really focus on what was being shared. So it was first our CEO, Ma'am Linda, who was always there, and then later on, it evolved. So it became our GM, Miss Andrea, and all of her siblings already had airtimes there. So sometimes in the morning, we have one of her siblings sharing English lessons, and then we have another sibling giving us workshops, and then so it's you don't feel lost and you don't feel away, even if parang physically we're not together. There's always something to do every day. There's always something to look forward to every day. And I felt that was very nice also, because if I was just thinking by myself and sitting at home, parang I wouldn't know what to do, because I'm used to having this daily routine. And then when the page came up and all of the live shows were started, and even our training modules were being posted online in our group, parang we had that sense of, okay, there's still something to do and something to look forward to, despite being our salons closed.
Gusto ko lang i-highlight. This is, for me, this is something that actually highlights the importance of corporate values. Remember the poem that was shared by Andrea earlier. You can have all of your business plans, business strategies, but situations happen, things happen, and those business strategies and business plans can change. But if you have your corporate values, a strong and solid corporate value set of values that you're actually living by, that you're actually implementing, and everyone really understands. It's very easy regardless of the situation. And I think that is what happened here in Piandre. They have a very good value system, and that value system served as their North Star. Kahit pa mag-iba ang business plan, business strategy for the year dahil biglang may pandemic, because these are our values and we live by these values. Talagang nakaano pa rin, nakasunod pa rin yung business, nakaagapay pa rin the management, the employees, the HR, everyone is really doing their share kasi they know, they understand what the values are. Everyone is in line with those values and they understand what is asked of them because of those values. That's very very something that's very nice for me.
For me,
Ang
it's what
gandang
they.
gandang case study nito.
Oo nga eh. Dapat talaga this should be shared in mga business cases, lalo na in terms of masteral entrepreneurship or
True.
even in college. Because there are really a lot of lessons that's being brought about because of this pandemic. And I think Beyondre is one of the few or handful of companies who actually put their money where their mouth is. It's so easy to promise that you will support your people. It's very
Mm-mm.
different talaga. Because I know Andrea, she shared with me personal stories before. When the owner sacrifices what they have personally for the people that they have. I know a lot of owners as well, parang ang meron silang kotse, they live in like exclusive subdivisions, and then literally zero. Wala talaga, as in from April hanggang June, wala. As in wala. There was really no personal sacrifice kasi daw walang pera. And I'm like, you guys have cars, you guys have a nice house, right? And these are your frontliners. Why aren't you supporting? So I'm really glad about what Piandre has done. But I would like to go back na, syempre, you have 300 people. And as our wow quote of the week, there are people who look at the good and there are also people who cannot understand the good. Kahit na anong bigay ninyo, meron pa ring tao na baka hindi masaya or magreklamo. Could you share a bit of details, slight details lang on these things, and how do you handle these challenging employees din na alam na nga pandemya, pero ang hirap pa rin mag-manage? Jasmine, ikaw una. How difficult was it?
Um,
Kasi not everyone will be cooperative, lalo na
True.
really it's a new frontier.
mhm. I guess we were also just very lucky first for having all of our employees just rallying with us on getting through this pandemic. But of course, there will be those that we call that are outliers. And
Outliers,
um,
correct.
yeah, so if we are, we try not to be single-minded in what we
Mm,
do. So if you maybe want to go another direction, of course we respect each other's decisions. And but if you want to stay with us, of course, let's carry on together. So I guess that's one thing. We leave for a while being single-mindedness and look how the group is going and where we are all going to. Like what I've always said in my little sharing a while ago, that that's just what we want to know, where we will be after. And that's how we then we work from that, with that vision na okay, we want to be there together, let's do everything together and stick to following what needs to be followed at this time.
mm. Are you expanding? Kasi 'di ba like you are in
Mhm.
the personal care industry and
Mhm.
'di ba it's all also about the economy. What are
Mhm.
your parang what how do you see the next couple of months will be, especially in a chat in personal care industry? How will
Mhm.
it be? Are you expanding? Are you waiting and seeing? How do you look at the future?
Mhm.
Um, I think we're looking at all our resources and trying to maximize what we have. Because we're in a lot of very good locations, and we have also not so good locations. So we're trying to maximize first before we move forward. Um, yeah. right now, actually, our focus is on the outdoor space. So we've been offered also other spaces in the malls to put up outdoor. And actually, it's so amazing. It's really so amazing because when other businesses, other salons, especially that they let go, the staff they've put on furlough
Mm.
eventually resigned or whatever. So they don't have now people to come back into
Mm.
the cell or so now we have an opportunity like to open an outdoor space. So we have an outdoor space, and that was we thought it was just gonna be like borrowing, but it became so strong that it needed its own team. So now because we have 4 days, 3-day work week, now we have all of these people who can come, so we have so many people who we can ask to go around, and they are super willing to work. I was just laughing at your November 2 issue, but because nga, it's a 3-day, 4-day work week, we asked our staff, can you come to work na lang on November 1, which we've never done before. And they were all like, mas gusto namin. Parang we'd rather go to work than stay home and not naman go to the cemetery also. So, there's there's a story. There's a story that we started calling each other buffaloes, parang Piandre buffalo, which is the buffalo pala, they charge at if there's a storm, they charge at the storm instead of running away. So when we always say that's how we feel our team is because we've stood by them how many months na talagang zero, pero may natatanggap. Pero also, wait, I have to put that into perspective also. Even our manicuristas, even like the people who shampoo their hair, they get kasi tips eh. They get tip, they get commission. So, whatever we give na ayuda, which is just the salary, is still a long way from their take-home pay. You know what I mean? So we
Mm.
of course we can't give that extra, pero we gave that minimum, which they were really which they really needed just to for pinaka basic needs. So I think because of that na whenever we say guys we have a new challenge, everyone's like game. So parang they always say kasi kami mga buffalo kami. They're running towards the challenge. So that has been the culture, which is so I don't know, parang it's so empowering. It's so nice to be part of a team that when you say something, they all go. We don't have issues about we can't go or whatever. They go. Um,
Mm. It's very
yeah.
interesting kasi one of the biggest challenges of business owners over the last year is getting people to report back to work. And
Mm-mm.
beyond Drake, most operations cannot be done work from home.
Yes,
Diba?
exactly.
You cannot cut hair while you're at your house. You have to go to somebody else's house, right? You
Mm-mm.
have to expose yourself to people who are not your family, and Lord knows, syempre, diba, you're leaving, you have to really leave your house, okay? You cannot work from home if you're in the personal care industry. There's no way for you to actually have your manicure while doing Zoom. How is that a challenge? Hindi ba natakot yung, kasi diba COVID-19 with Delta, the
Mm-mm.
disease is real. People do get sick. Some people do actually pass away. How difficult was it na you're telling people, oh, pupunta kayo sa bahay ng clients, lalabas, you're exposed in retail, you're exposed to so many different people. Diba the chances of you getting COVID is slightly higher than somebody working from home. How was it at that time to convince them to physically report to work? Kasi yun yung pinakamalaking challenge of many industries, and you guys are doing it opposite because there is no way for your operations to be work from home.
Yeah, kasi we didn't pivot into the food business or make our
'Di
people
ba?
cook, 'di ba?
Oo,
May
paano
wala
gano'n, 'di
kaming
ba?
ganun.
Gaganon ka, oh, 'di ba? Tapos
Yeah.
virtual yung manicure o yung
Hindi
gupit.
kaya. So, like I said nga, the staff were super excited to go back to work in the beginning. Of course, we had, I don't know, Jazz, I think about less than 5 or some, di ba? I think we had less than 5 who refused to go back to work na. But that wasn't a lot. That wasn't a big number. They
Yeah.
all were excited kasi nga we reduced also their hours, so they were coming to work 3 days and 4 days to reduce also exposure. In the beginning last year, we converted our event space into like a dorm, so there were people living there to reduce transportation exposure and whatever. But most of everyone else was just like, yeah, let's do this. Parang super excited. Like,
Hindi sila takot, 'di ba? And
hindi
it's
sila takot talaga. Even Delta, parang, first, parang Delta meron ng kaba. But then,
oo.
yun nga, parang I feel like it's different perspectives. Like when they
Mm.
announced the lockdown, we went online and we were like, guys, this is great because, parang you don't have, I mean, konti na lang yung clients natin coming to the salon at the time. At least mababawasan yung rent. At least you're home, safe, we can all relax. Parang I was also having anxiety attacks with people going to work because it was super rampant. Every day we were getting calls.
From
So
clients.
from
From
clients
clients
saying
din
I'm
who
positive, from the staff
yeah.
parang ma'am merong ubo or whatever. So it was every day. Imagine we have actually 380. We started the pandemic at 400 something. So we lost about 30 people in the whole
10%. Less
about
than 10%, almost.
Less than
Pero how
10%.
did you handle those naman who actually contracted COVID or whose family members had COVID? Like, would you mind sharing with us how you supported them? If
we
there
have
was any, if there was any.
no one was no, Jazz, no one was severely kaya nga parang malalakas sila eh. Everyone said, naku,
They're
mga
buffaloes
Piandre,
kasi.
mga buffalo, o ibang klase yung
Buffalo nga
patatagan.
talaga.
Oo, wala talagang there was no serious anything. A lot of the times, they were asymptomatic because of random tests, because of the home service. The client will say, oh, pa-test muna, tapos biglang, ay, positive, pero wala silang nararamdaman. Parang mga Amazona yung mga taga Piandre. No no major issue. But yeah, we've had to put like a whole team on quarantine for 2 weeks. Yeah, they understand. Pahinga muna. And then the other team, no day off, dire-diretso for 2 weeks. No problem. Parang, um, super no problem. I don't know why.
I
Just,
sincerely
right?
believe it's God's blessing. Napapansin ko
Super.
ha, 'di ba, pag kunyari, I've noticed that those who actually gave more during the pandemic, I've noticed that the people who are running the organization and their family members and their staff's family members, even even at that time when we had high volume of COVID and then we had the Delta variant and the hospitals were full, it seems that I'm sorry, but it seems that the Lord was truly protecting these companies and the people inside it and their families. I really sincerely believe that na sobrang hindi mo alam, parang there's so many people, there's the virus is shooting everywhere. It's hitting everyone. And for some reason there seems to be a force field protecting the owners and the people. And this is ironic because you guys are in the personal care industry who should actually be the first to be shot. 'Di ba? Who should actually be first to be affected. And I think that's really one of the ways na talaga you know that there is a God. Because really, like, balik talaga, bumabalik talaga sa'yo. But were you surprised, Andrea? Kasi we don't know your mom. Could you tell us in the initial week when the government announced, how was it for you as in the management scene? How was that scene between you and your siblings and your mom in deciding what would Piandre go for over the next 18 months? Because at that time talaga, as you said, there was no map. Nobody, the malls never closed. This is really the new frontier. How did you guys talk about it with each other? And as employers, like what can you share with us on how you guys dealt with? Kasi ang uso ngayon away-away sa mga magkakanegosyo. right? Because
Mm-mm.
when there's a crisis, the management team falls apart because nobody can decide. How did
Yeah.
you guys do it?
Um, I think with my family, my mom is still the head, and we all follow what she says. So I think in on day 2 or day 3, she gathered us. I think I have a picture now. We were FaceTiming with my other siblings, and she said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. Everyone has to show up in the Facebook Live. You have to do this, do that, do this, da, 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 da." And then she said, and we're going to pay the salaries. And so my sister said, okay, parang, then everyone just followed. I'm very, very blessed that, that, there was no sense, I don't know, kasi among siblings also, there was no sense of entitlement or parang that's too much or, parang until the very, very end, until now, parang it's still like, you know, it's still there. I think in the last year and a half we learned talaga detachment. Parang we learned not to be holding on to things that
Mm-mm.
are, parang that na naglalaho, parang we it I'm just saying that the blessings, I think, were not only that we were protected, but there's a newfound compassion among our staff. Um, there's a newfound compassion among our clients that we feel that they're really also like raring to come and support us. Um, it's just all around, parang this energy na if you give, parang we gave, but we've also received so much. um yeah, it's difficult to explain na you're saying kasi what happened, how did you plan this 18 months that you're taking care of all of them, but we didn't
It just
plan.
happened.
It just happened. Parang every 2 weeks, oh my God, parang oh my, lockdown na naman, di ba? Oh, just ganyan, parang prepare. Parang, okay, lockdown na naman. Tapos, okay, oh, meron pa, may pera pa. Okay. And then, may home service, biglang will earn a little, but, ilabas mo na yan. Ganun, parang, cash yan, cash. Parang, there's always like, there was always something that saved us.
I think
I know
it
it's
helps
not
din
good
kasi na ano eh.
business. Yeah, I know it's not good business
Mm-mm.
practice that but I remember also that you try to save, right? You try to save for a rainy day, and when the
Mm,
rainy day comes, you spend it. You don't keep it kasi nga our staff are we can't have a salon without staff.
that's
That's what
true.
you were saying kanina, diba? So at the end, and parang in the past pandemics that it ends. So what happens after? Do you have people, or you have people that resent you? Do you have people that hate you? Parang no, diba? So wala lang. Parang of course this is all in hindsight, but when it was happening, it was just like we were running. Yeah.
Ayun. Pero ano, I think it helps that you have yung mindset. From what I am
Mm-hmm.
seeing, the mindset ng gratitude and the ability to really think fast. Kasi sometimes, and I'm speaking from the point of view of a business owner. When you're a business owner, ang tendency mo is to really hold on in fear na kasi baka may mas malala pang mangyari. And sometimes it doesn't help. Sometimes you really have to think fast, throw away whatever it is that you have learned in the past, okay, and believe in that kumbaga parang wisdom that you've built over the years, instead of following all of this set of procedures, set of strategies, etc., etc. Let go and then just trust in the process. Trust that all of this is happening for a reason. Trust that the people that you have with you will help you, so that alam mo yun, makaka-get over ka. Kasi it's I mean, Andre is in an industry na sobrang taas nung likelihood na magsara. Pardon me for
Mm,
saying it. But it's in an industry na sobrang taas ng likelihood na magsara. Personal care, tulad yan sabi ni Mentor Tina kanina, di ba? Personal care is lagi pinakahuli. Pwede ka nang mag-dine in, pero hindi ka pa pwede ng personal care. Pwede ka na magpapasok ng 10%, personal care, hindi, hindi pa kayo po pwede, sarado pa kayo, etc., etc. And if you're trying to pay people, even though sarado kayo, ang hirap noon. Okay, so you have to throw away all of that you have learned in past, and look for different ways. Paano namin gagawin ito? And instead of having fear, have that thinking na, wait, we still have our people. When this is through, I would still want my people to be with me. So what do I do now to ensure that at the end of this pandemic, I will still have them? We still have our clients. What do we do so that by the end of this pandemic, what do I need to do now so that we still have those people? Okay, instead of hala, anong gagawin ko? 'Di ba? It's the mindset din eh. It plays a role. Mahirap pag yung masyado kang you're trying to hold on to the things that you are used to rather than trying out new things. Sino ba nakaisip ng outdoor na ano, 'di ba, personal care? Wala. Outdoor na kain meron, pero outdoor na personal care. Ngayon ko nga lang naisip na parang, oo nga, ano, bakit nga ba hindi ako naghahanap ng salon na merong outdoor para hindi ko pinoproblema yung buhok ko right now. Diba? So I think that's one of the things that's really helping Piante right now.
I think it was also the mindset of ano eh. You know how the government always announces things at midnight? And we're always like, okay, in 2 days open na. So, parang that was what the government would always announce. But before that, when we already feel that there's something, we already planned for different scenarios. Oh, if we open, oh, ano, so guys, let's plan na to clean this day. Oh, now everyone, okay, so who's gonna be the first shift? Blah, blah, blah. So we were already used to the government opening, government announcing. Remember that, Jasper? We were already used to the government announcing last minute and everyone would move. But even until the last lockdown, there were a lot of owners who were still complaining na, ay nako, last minute na naman. Ay nako, last minute. But
Yeah.
then we've already had a year and a half of this. So
Di
I
ba ba
guess it's
sanay?
like, it's also one of those things that you don't want to, there's no flexibility. I mean, there's also a lot of issues. Um,
You,
with, you know.
Mentor Rona, you mentioned a while ago that Beyondre is probably one of the is in an industry that is very challenging and supposedly almost not able to survive. I've also seen a lot of different companies who did not survive, who actually closed down and talaga like literally shut their doors. And I
Yeah,
think Andrea mentioned a very critical thing na HR managers and business owners can take note of is cash management. A
true.
lot of people kasi what they do if they're managing a business is that they usually labas the cash as dividends at the end of the year, right? And many businesses, because there's good years, diba? Every year has been a good year. So money, every time you give money out to the different business owners or shareholders, ubos agad, but it's okay because the money keeps on coming back. Right? Kasi there's sales and then there's expenses and there's profits all the time. Nagkataon with COVID-19, it hit us around March 16. We started our lockdown at that time. And now a lot of companies did not have cash ready because they kept on giving it away. I think with Beyondre, if they did, parang they took money out from their personal as well to give it back to make sure that the company remains running. And that type of sacrifice is really a different mindset. Kasi a lot of people do businesses because of the profits. What they forget about is actually business owners. One of the best things about business owners is they become they offer jobs, they support families, they support livelihoods, they through the salaries that they give and the benefits are able to like raise good children with stable futures, right? And that's one of the best things I guess from the pandemic is that it highlights companies like Beyondre, and it's proudly Filipino owned,
Mm-mm.
right? It's proudly 100% Filipino owned, still family managed despite their huge size. Like 370, 380 people is not small anymore. And yet they are still able to survive. I don't know, Jasmine, how you guys did it talaga. I mean, did you, and you are young. You are young, Jasmine, 'di ba? You're still like in your 20s, how was it how to become you? Kasi a lot of people, di ba, marami tayong mga newbies, marami tayong mga HR students na nanonood sa atin. Ano ang tip ninyo on how to be HR head of a 370 strong company at such a young age? Any tips, Jasmine? Because it's not easy what you did.
Um, Honestly, it wasn't easy. It was so hard also for me kasi ang dami talagang tao, and also coming from a very introverted person, parang all of these interactions can get a bit tiring. But you know, I guess there was sort of an alignment between me and what the company was going for. And when you see that, when you're in a position that you get to talk to the management level, and you also get to talk to your colleagues in the rank and files and other levels, parang you have a certain impact on their lives. So there should be a sense of responsibility always in what you do, because even the little things pala, na sometimes you just text them, how are you, or like, how are you holding up, or what do you need, how can we assist you further. It goes a very long way. So just be aligned, I guess, with whatever your company, know your company, know your company, and be aligned and be there for the people, because human resource, as my manager would tell me, na hindi lang yan employee, you handle the whole person, hindi lang sa opisina, but at home, they're still your employee, they're still part of the team. So you have to take care of them, um, in good days, and in all of their issues. You have to be there, and when they come in with all of those issues, it's also you will be the one to face them. So I guess that's how I was able to do it, I feel. And if there are any HR practitioners, young ones,
Maraming estudyante
yes.
nanonood sa atin ngayon, Andrea.
Mhm.
What would be your tip on how you were able how to find or how do you become a great HR? Kasi 'di ba a lot of the people are newbies, they don't really know what to do. Uh, are there any spaces in your department that they can apply for? Lalo na sa HR department. And what would consist of a good HR for you? What is management really looking for? Kasi 'di ba syempre you're already the owners, the managers. What are you looking for in a good HR applicant?
I have to add also that part about Jasmine, because during the lockdown, it was only her and an assistant. So they were only two people handling all of the. So I have to give her credit because she was the one who did all the paperwork for the SSS. And
Oo.
that's why we got that benefit. But she did it single-handedly, which was really making me laugh at the time. But that's why also she got a little bit burned out. But she would be in a better position to answer that. What makes a good HR, Jazz? What do you think?
For me, it's always being the bridge between the management and the employees. Always being there to translate what needs to be translated, because sometimes views may be different from each level, and the needs are also different. But as an HR practitioner, I feel that you're handling human resource, and you have to make them meet always. So for me, that's one very important um, responsibility or role or value that an HR practitioner should have.
Ayan. Bago po natin ituloy ang ating mga balitaktakan, medyo dumadami lang kasi yung ating comment section. So babatiin ko lang po sila saglit. Bago po natin ituloy, good afternoon po. May Miss Luisa, sabi ni Miss Luisa, galing naman ni Jasmine. Ayan, mga fans ni Jasmine ito
Kilala mo
eh.
ba 'yan? O 'di ba?
Oo.
Yes, super big
Di,
influence for my
ayan.
career.
So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina eh, yung attitude of gratitude, the ability to look back at people who have helped you along the way. I think that's one of the things why Piandre is really doing good right now. So sabi ni April Joy Sulyasa, good afternoon po. BSBA HRDM University of Rizal System Tanay. Ayan, sasabi naman natin na marami talaga nanonood na estudyante right now. Good afternoon then from Joanna Salomon. Virginia Tolentino is also saying good afternoon. Sabi ni Nadia Sagao, Piandre is love. Ayan. Sabi ni Miss Cecil Agana, nakaka-proud na nakaka-touch. May pahabol pa si Miss Luisa. Grabe naman, galing naman, both guest speakers. Ang gaganda pa, o di ba? Sabi ni Japhet Caones, nice talks, inspirational. Sabi ni Ronnie Trinidad, galing talaga Piandre team. Ayan, marami talagang natutuwa sa Piandre. Sabi ni Ariel, may God bless Piandre 100 folds. What an admiring Christ-centered business owner. Sabi naman ni Manny Bautista, corporate values are vital for a firm's survival. And I think this is kumbaga this is a feather on the cap of the management kasi from the looks of it, they were really able to instill corporate values sa kanilang mga team members. Kaya talaga naman na intact pa rin sila. I mean, a turnover rate na super baba, kahit pa sabihin natin na 20 yung nawala, that's still very small, given that we are 1.5 years na into the pandemic, to 2 years na. That's very low. At marami pa rin talaga yung nandyan pa rin at nag-i-stay for Beyond. Sabi ni Manny Bautista, galing ni Miss Andrea and Jasmine. Ayan. And then sabi ni Tiara Dueñas, I am one of the proud staffs of Piandre. Dito mo talaga makikita the strength of the management and HR pag the people are really, really proud of belonging to a particular organization. A ray of hope for all HR colleagues. Thanks for the inspiration. Ayan. So, pero ito lang sasabihin ko doon sa mga nanonood natin right now. Kasi you might think na, ay, buti pa si Piandre. Okay. Bago
Doon
po
ako
kayo
mag-a-apply.
magsabi ng, ay, buti pa sa Piandre, makalipat na nga. Okay. Bago po kayo humirit ng, ay, buti pa sa Piandre, makapag-apply nga doon. Look at your own organization first. And look at also what the top management is sacrificing and doing. Not everyone, and I would like to emphasize it, not everyone has the same capacity. Okay? We are not built the same. Some people have more, some people have less, some people think fast, some people are not that quite good in strategies. Everyone is built differently. So before you say na buti pa sila, look at first at what your company has done for you and what you have done for the company. If you are an HR,
Yeah. Yung sinasabi kasi ng 'di ba parang sana all, right? Sobrang uso talaga yung sana all kasi tuwing since last year pa, tuwing merong nagse-share talaga ng good news, lagi may nagsasabi talaga sana all, sana yung company namin ganyan. Ang usual na tinatanong ko is bakit hindi? Bakit hindi kayo? Right? Because everybody thinks that it's somebody else's company, somebody else's problems, and somebody else's solutions. But we are employed in our own specific companies, and we when we are working in our specific companies, we can be catalysts for change. You actually do not have to be management or to be as blessed as Beyondre or to work blessed to be working at Beyondre to actually make a company that is compassionate to others. Right? You yourself in your own company can also show compassion in your own different way. And I think one of the things nabi mo kanina, Andrea, was that you have kids, right? I'm a mother, you're a mother as well. We want the crisis right now, the pandemic that we have. I think when we look back 5 to 10 years from now, we have to ask ourselves, like, did we really act in a way that our kids will be proud of us? Right? Because money comes and goes. Like money comes, like you have sales, it comes in, you have expenses, it comes out. But it's really the legacy that we leave behind and the type of person that we actually become. Right? Sino ka ba talaga? Are you mabait? Are you generous? Are you really sincere? Are you really caring? Do you have compassion for your people? Sino ka ba talaga? And usually you don't have a chance to show that. Like I think like you have to admit, Andrea, we had before this pandemic happened, the Philippine economy was pretty good. right? The real estate prices were really going up. There were really not a lot of pandemics or big crises that happened to companies. People were expanding left and right. People were hiring left and right. Employees would not show up to interview because sabi nga nila, okay lang naman kasi makakahanap naman ako ng trabaho kung gusto ko. The pandemic changed all of that. All of a sudden, ang dami nating pagkain, harvest was full, jobs were always on offer. All of a sudden, we were on lockdown, kumonti yung mga araw ng pagpasok, kumonti yung pera ng pagpasok, and now we see what type of person we truly are. And it's not about just being an employee or a business owner, being a person in the Philippines, right? For example, sa mga SBWS, sa mga SAP, sino sa inyo ang dumoble kuha? 'Di ba? I mean, like, we always say, we don't want corrupt politicians and government, but there were a lot of times din talaga that there were a lot of internal stealing going on kasi nga gipit talaga ang tao, and it's really in these times of trouble that you see the true character of everybody, not just your employer, not just your employee, but even your own siblings, your husband, your parents, your neighbors. Like, what type of people are they? Kasi iniisip mo dati, mababait yan, mababait yan. Tapos pagkita mo dun sa ano, sa pandemic, mayaman na nga, may kotse nga, dun nakapila for SAP. You know? Kunwari, ko na kumukuha ng ayuda dun sa basketball court. Like, you don't need that. Somebody else needs that. And yet, kapal mukha yung kumukuha ng itlog. Yung hindi isang itlog lang, yung dalawang
Sa
itlog or
buong
isang
tray.
tray. Isang buong tray, buti naman hindi kinuha lahat. I mean, you really see the true character of the person. And I'm really proud, Andrea, to call you as a friend because parang feeling mo, parang si Andrea, through thick and thin iwanan mo, pautangin mo, sigurado babayaran ka. You know the type of character and integrity to a person? Like,
Ah,
how do you get that, Andrea? How do you become that? Because not everybody's like that. Diba, Jasmine? Like, you've met a lot of employers. Ang dami mukhang mababait. Ang sweet talking. Parang binobola-bola ka pa. Pero pagdating naman ng pandemic, wala eh. Etong si Andrea, napaka-sweet. Quiet lang yan. Pero my gosh, pagdating ng pandemya, akala mo parang santo. How did your parents instill that in you? Because really, it's a very rare trait. That sense of integrity, that sense of giving back, that empathy. Andrea, how did your mom do that?
Okay, wait lang. Wait lang. No, walang santo. Walang ano. But my mom always tells us that there are only certain instances, there's only certain opportunities in life that you get to show some people that you love them. So it's not all the time. So for example, it's not all the time that you need to be there for a friend or for a ganyan. But when they need you and you're there, and then you can like disappear again. It's only when I mean, there's only just a few opportunities in life when you can show people that you love them. So I think this was one big opportunity. And again, we didn't know that it would take so long. But it's just to show up. It's to show up. And even in the last even in the last lockdown, I think, or two lockdowns ago, we said you have to conserve your money because I don't know kung may ayuda pa. We were upfront with the staff na we're not sure if magkakaroon pa ng ayuda. So please save, or please humiram na kayo from the SSS, ganyan. Parang get more money from other sources. Parang we would be very upfront. So I think it wasn't always just the cash. It was also showing up and telling them, this is what we have. We're ready, but it's finite. We always say, yung balon is may hangganan. So you have to do your part. As a next generation leader of the organization, also I realized that I have to deepen my faith, and in the last year I actually had to go back to school and study. So I'm taking up a master's in theology. And that really has become for me the most practical um, learning that I've done in all my years of experience. Parang I really had to dig deep because nga, the pandemic changes you eh. And I just had to anchor somewhere, I guess. And yun. So that's what I've been doing also for the last year, going back to school and sharing also parang what I've learned. Yun.
Last words, Jasmine. Any last words from you for our audience, and also promote Piandre. I'm sure a lot of people might want to apply. There are still 30 slots available. Remember, there are still 30 slots. So tell them para paunahan na and how to contact you just in case.
Oh, okay. Of course, thank you very much for everyone and for inviting us and giving me a chance to talk. It's my very first time to do something like this, and it's a great opportunity. I guess we are still in the pandemic, so
Mm.
there might be new challenges in store for us. But as our management and our term for us will say, we say that we are buffaloes. So I hope that everyone gets in touch with their inner buffaloes and thread through this challenging times with hopefully a strong faith and with their solid characters and values as a person and also as an employee. How to reach us? Okay, we have this email address. It's people@piandre.com. So you can reach us there for anything. And I guess for plugging the business, it will be best coming from our general manager, Miss Andrea.
Uh, we need bookkeepers. We need bookkeepers. That's what we need. But you're right. Wherever you are, you need to make the most of it. Like Jasmine is one of those people na super indispensable. You need to make yourself valuable. And I, how to be know how to make yourself indispensable and valuable. You have to find it. It's not like before now that people just tell you what to do and you do it. You have to look now for the tasks and be indispensable to your bosses. You have to learn to be entrepreneurial and not just stick to your own task, but do many things also. Like Jasmine does so many things that are not in her job description. Thank you. But yeah, I think she's growing. And that's what matters now, di ba? Yan. Thank you very much for having us.
For me, my last words, and then after that, kay Miss Rona. Um, the HR Cafe is a weekly talk show, and sabi before ni, I was asking Coach Darwin, who are we going to invite? Are we going to invite international HR speakers? And he's always been very strict in saying, no, we have to promote local businesses. We have to promote local talent, local HR practitioners. We have to show the best practices. We have to be proud. We're very proud to be Filipinos. And I'm so glad that Miss Andrea from Beyondre has agreed to be our guest speaker for today, because from the get-go of last year, I knew they were different. I really knew they were different because can I disclose na lang, Andrea, sabi ni Andrea, uh, we might have to sell assets. And I'm like, why are you selling assets? There's really no need to. And luckily at that time, hindi naman nangyari at that time. But it was great from the get-go talaga. They didn't think of themselves first. They honestly, from the beginning of the pandemic, it was always their people first. And that was surprising because everywhere else that were talking to me were asking, kailangan ko bang bayaran yung tao ko? Everyone was asking, do I really need to pay them? How much ayuda should I give them? And then ito naman si Miss Andrea, parang, we're giving them. And I'm like, seriously? All? It's like, yeah. How many people you have? 300 plus. All? Are you sure? It might last for a long time. Yeah, we're sure. And I think that type of determinism, like they knew from the get-go what they were going to do already. Eh. And it really shows the integrity and character of the family, which is very rare nowadays, not just in this industry, but in so many other businesses. And I think parang a lot of people are afraid, like even for me, if we give more, will we go bankrupt? Will we have to like sell our stuff? What's gonna happen to us? What's gonna happen to our families? Like, mauubusan tayo eh. I mean, resources are finite, and we didn't really know what was going on and how long it will take. And they had this blind faith that they would survive, and that was so touching for me because I was afraid. I with all my practicality, nagbibilang ako, nag-excel ako, I was afraid. They were afraid and yet did even more than expected. And that was just brilliant for me. And over the last year, a lot of companies were calling me, or employees were calling me, complaining about each other. Like, nag-aaway-away lahat ng tao. And here we are, we have this proud Filipino company wherein karamihan ng tao nagmamahalan. People who are working for this company have good things to say about being in their and they're so lucky. They're so proud to be part of this company. And you're like, you know what? I don't like the pandemic. I don't like what's going on. I hate what about the elections. But without the pandemic, Beyonce would not have shown this brightly. And I really wish that more Filipino companies, more business owners, more HR managers would see Piandre as an inspiration. If they can do it, so can we. And yes, nakakatakot eh. What they did talaga, sobrang nakakatakot. It's pera eh. It's not just words. It's not just empty promises. It's really money, okay? Company money. Survival to the fittest talaga. And yet this blind faith in God, this blind faith in their people, and this blind faith to their customers, somehow parang you can see them bouncing back and you don't know how they've managed it. And I'm very proud to say na parang I'm very proud, Andrea, you're my friend. I'm really proud that you're my friend because you don't meet a lot of people like you guys. And I'm so glad that you are a speaker for the HR Cafe. I really do hope that through this, case studies will be written about you. Other people will remember you and know that they can, and they don't have to be too afraid because they wouldn't know pala inside their own companies are also buffaloes like yours. And it's going to be okay. We're almost at the end of 2021. It's the start of 20 we have quite a bit of people being vaccinated. Yes, the worst has come, but I think it's better for us to go and look forward and proceed. And if you can, may oras pa namang maging katulad ni Piandre. 'Di ba? May oras pa maging katulad ni Piandre to live, to manage a business with integrity and with courage and with such grace talaga. Sobrang, if you can, please take care of your staff. Okay? Please take care of your staff. Kasi don't be too afraid, because if you are good to your people and your customers, and the Lord will also be good to you. Rona, last words?
Yan. Doon po sa mga nakatambay po sa ating comment section, pasensya na po na wala tayo kanina. Thank you very much, PLDT, once again. Pero kung meron po kayong mga alam na companies who are also shining brightly during this pandemic, please let us know. We would want to talk to their HR. Baka they can also share something to the community that would help other HRs para makapag-grow din sila at makapag-thrive dito sa current situation that we have right now. If your company is doing something out of the ordinary, baka it's time na i-highlight din naman sila at pasalamatan din naman sila. Tiandre is just one. I do think that there are other companies that are also doing this. Baka hindi lang natin napapansin. Two things that I actually realized habang nagsasalita kanina si Mentor Tina. Number one, if you have watched Squid Games, okay, may part doon na yung tug of war, okay, yung sa rope, okay. Ano yung sinabi ng matanda doon? Yung first line niya, ang sabi niya, ang pinaka-importante is yung will ng leader, yung nasa harap. Yung will noon, because the people behind him will see his back. And kung gaano siya kung gaano katindi yung intent niya to really win, mararamdaman niya nung nasa likod niya. And I think this is one of the things that has happened with DeAndre. The will of the top management to make sure that everyone gets what is due to them, even if it's a pandemic. Okay? And more, not just what's due to them, but more, to make sure that they are able to thrive in this situation. That kind of determination, that kind of will should really be apparent and should be something that all business owners should have, because the rest will follow. Kung kayo ay born out of fear palagi ang inyong actions, then the rest of your team members will also have fear. But if you have determination, if you have will, the rest of your team members will also have that determination and will. That will rub off on them. So make sure, if you're the top management, HR, you're part of the management, always have that will to be a buffalo, to go against whatever the tides are. Okay, talagang paglalaban nyo kung ano yung kinakailangan to ensure a good life for everyone within the organization. So that's one. Second, this is more of a inspiration, and talaga na-inspire ako. The line that I always have in mind, not always, but sometimes, you get to hear this from people, the Lord provides. You always hear people say the Lord provides. But it is only now that I have seen someone who really, really, really believed that the Lord will provide. It's very easy to say that, the Lord provides, the Lord provides. Tapos pag biglang wala na, hala, patay na. But with Piandre, it's when they said that the Lord will provide, there is an actual power behind it. They really believe that the Lord will provide. Whether you are a religious person or not, whether you believe in God or in other entities, if you have that faith, sabi nga ni Miss Andrea kanina, you need to have something to anchor onto. And their whole belief system is anchored in that, in the belief that the Lord will provide. If you have that, everything within you, we have mentioned this before, when you truly believe in something, everything in you will really give power to that belief. And that is one of the things that we need to have at this point, the belief that whatever happens, the Lord or whatever supreme being you believe in will provide for us, and really put strength, put determination in that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank everyone who has stayed with us this afternoon. Yes, overtime na po tayo ng ilang minutes, pero maraming salamat po at talaga naman nagstay po kayo dito. Tuwan-tuwa po kami sa mga empleyado po ng Piandre na talagang nagsasabi dun sa aming comment section. They are grateful, they are proud, they really are happy that they are part of Piandre. And thank you also for everyone who have shared their thoughts, shared their feelings about our topic for today. Thank you so much, Miss Andrea, and thank you so much, Jasmine. I am really in awe of what you have accomplished, Jasmine. You, at such a young age, were able to head a group of 400 people. And I think the reason behind that is you are very much willing to learn, and you know how to show gratitude. And I hope the rest of the HR professionals, those who are new to the profession, would take that to heart, because that's a very helpful attitude to have when you are an HR professional. Again, thank you everyone for staying with us here at HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. We hope to see you next Sunday para sa isa na naman pong nagbabagang diskusyon ng timely HR topics. Hopefully, kompleto po kami next week. Again, thank you so much, and see you all next Sunday. Take care everyone, stay safe, huwag lumabas kung hindi kinakailangan, and try to have yourself vaccinated as soon as possible. Maraming salamat everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye po, bye-bye!